Hello and welcome to the first tutorial for the 2D RPG kit, where I would like to show you how to create scenes using the tilemap system. So let's start by looking into the scenes folder where I created a template map for you to use that already contains everything we need to start creating a map. In order to preserve this template, it is a good idea to duplicate the scene with Ctrl D. Let's rename the scene to something like tilemap test, and for organizational reasons, move it to the Word Maps folder. Now we open the scene with a double click. And as you can see, the scene already has the customized camera component and the main objects loader that takes care of loading all the necessary components into the scene that are needed for the game to work. Down here you have the tile palette from where you can choose the tiles to draw your scenes. These tiles are stored in individual tile maps that you can choose from this drop-down, and the 2D RPG kit already comes preloaded with a bunch of tile maps, but let us use the home tile map for now, which is a set of interior objects. The tilemap component already has a variety of layers that you can use and choose from this toolbar. Let's first select the ground layer 1 and choose the tile for the ground. With the brush tool you can now start filling the scene with the ground tile. With the first solid layer we now draw a solid wall, and let us use these tiles for some variety. Now the reason why there are multiple ground and solid layers is that if you want to draw objects, for example, on top of another layer, those objects would just overwrite unfilled pixels of a layer, and so in this case we just select the second solid layer and are now able to draw this window on top of the previous layer. Let us now quickly continue with some decoration like this carpet here and fit it in our room. The room could also use some plants. Again, keep the current layer in mind. And the door would also be nice. Next, let's take care of the edge that also should be on a solid layer to prevent the player from crossing the scene's bounds. Okay, now the room is ready to be tested. If we click this drop down, we can go under the 2D RPG kit and add a player start component to our scene, or alternatively simply right click on the scene's hierarchy and choose the player start component from here. With this component we can now define where the player should spawn on this scene. Simply place this component anywhere inside the room, and let's hit play and test. We can now walk on the ground layer and also collide with the solid layer, but you can see that the camera actually doesn't include the edges of the room we just drawn in. And the reason for this is that the camera component calculates the map's bounds via the tile map layers. And in this case, it's ground layer 1. And if we quickly deactivate the other layers, you can see that the ground layer is actually slightly smaller as this solid layer here. And the solid layer actually adds a few tiles worth of width and height to the room. So to solve this, we just drag and drop the largest layer in our camera component. In this case, it's the second solid layer. Let's re-enable the layers and test it out again. And now the camera component correctly calculates the edges and shows the complete map. Okay, lastly, let's also go over how to change the background music of a scene. We can do that also within the camera component down here at music to play, which currently refers to the 12th track inside the audio manager. You can reach the audio manager through the to the RPG Kit menu. Here on the background music, you can see that the track number 12 is the town theme. If you now want to choose, for example, the overworld theme, just enter the respective number inside the scene's camera component, which is 9 in this case. If we hit play now, you'll get the overworld theme. Yeah, and that's it for the Tilemap tutorial. Thank you very much for watching and stay tuned for more updates and tutorials.